Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today is actually the ninth and final webinar in 2015, in December of 2015, and we're going to be talking about online renewals. What we're going to do today is we're going to step through the process of online renewals. What does it look like when a member needs to renew? What does it look like when the membership committee needs to go in and approve an online renewal? And what does it mean after the fact, and how do people pay for it? So all the emails that go around and everything else that has to do with this whole part of the system. Before we get too far into it, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of which is that this is a live webinar. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please do feel free to ask questions as we're going along. The best way to ask a question is to type the question in. I will see that question pop up on my screen and I'll be able to answer that question for you. You can also save your questions to the end. Although we're scheduled for about a half hour, I am always happy to stay on these webinars until every single question has been answered. We also are going to be recording this webinar, so it will be made available in a couple of different places, both up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, as well as on our support site, support.bniconnect.com, or by clicking the question mark within BNI Connect. The final caveat I have for you when it comes to online renewals is that this is an optional process, meaning that not all regions in the United States and in the world are participating with the online renewals. There's a lot of regions out there that are still just using the paper process for renewals. If you're unsure if you're using online renewals in your particular region, make sure that you check in with your executive director. They'll be able to tell you if and when online renewals are being used or will be used within your region. This also pertains only to the renewal process. Right now, we do not have a full new membership application online through BNI Connect. All we have is the renewal application for existing members. So let's take a look at this process, the online renewal process here in BNI Connect. So how does this process work? Well, it pretty much works the exact same way the paper process works, and that is that a member goes in and they complete a renewal application. The only difference really is that the application is filled out through BNI Connect and it's stored in BNI Connect, so there's not a piece of paper changing hands, which actually makes things a lot easier for a lot of leadership teams and a lot of regional offices, because some of the hardest processes is that we have a week in between our chapter meetings. So remembering to bring your renewal application, or if I'm renewing in January, I get my application today, but oh no, I left it on my office desk, or I forgot a check, or whatever else it might be. A whole week usually goes by before we catch up with it again, which easily stretches into 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. With the online process, essentially, we can do the online renewal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the next part of that process is that the renewal needs to be reviewed by the membership committee, and then the approval of which is recorded by the vice president. The difference between the online renewals and the paper process is that the meeting still happens in person where the membership committee is discussing this. However, the actual approval, there's basically a little checkbox online that says, we approve this renewal. And then the final part of this process is the money changes hands. So the money does need to make its way to the regional office, either via credit card or check or whatever other payment method is accepted by the regional office. And the regional office will say, yes, we received the payment. And then the transaction is finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this through the eyes of all three different parts of this process: the member, the leadership team, and the regional office. So this is what it looks like for members. So there's actually a number of different ways. We try to make it as easy as possible for members to start their renewal application. There's actually 4 different ways that they can do this. The first of which is that they will get a renewal reminder 60 days before their due date. Again, 60 days before their due date, they should get that renewal reminder. And in that email, there is a link that says, would you like to renew now? And they can click that link and they can go ahead and start the renewal. Also, if they're pre-approved, they will get a notification saying, congratulations, you've been pre-approved. Would you like to renew now? The second way is that they can click on the Renew membership link on the regional website. So on most regional websites that are using this, there's a big bold button that says Renew Now. They can click on that. They do have to sign into BNI Connect because the application is behind closed doors. But once they sign in, they'll be brought to the renewal application and they can renew that way. The third way is if they happen to be in BNI Connect and browsing around, they can click the Renew Now link that's right on the home screen in BNI Connect. And finally, there is a Renew button on the Profile tab of their membership record. So how does that look? This is a copy of what the renewal email looks like. You can see that it is being sent, and there's a link on the left-hand side that says Renew Now, and there's also a link on the bottom that says Renew Now. You can also go to the regional website. This is just a couple of examples. Every regional website is different. They have the ability to customize them. So they could look something like this. This is on the Minnesota regional website, or something like this, which is on the BNI Heartland, Nebraska, and that general area, or something like this on the Arizona site. But let's take a look. Why don't I log in as a member and show you what the process looks like as a member. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in as one of our members that I have in my test region of Antarctica. So one of my members up there is Ricky Martin, and we're going to log in as Ricky. Now, same process. If we would have gotten the reminder email, I could have clicked the link on there or through the website. But let's say that I lost the email or I didn't get the reminder or whatever it is, and I'm saying, uh-oh, I'm due pretty soon, time for me to renew. Well, once I'm here in BNI Connect, let me zoom in a little bit. I have the Renew Now link right here. Now, if I happen to be in updating my profile, there is a Renew Now button right next to my membership status as well. So right here, after my membership status, it says active. There's a Renew button here as well. No matter which link I click on, it's all going to take me to the same place, and that's a renewal application. Very first thing I can do is I can choose my membership period. Up in Antarctica, our membership dues are pretty cheap, but I can choose 1 year or 2 year for a significant savings. If I happen to be putting in my application late, meaning 1 day past my due date, then the late fee will be automatically included. And there's no way to say I don't want to pay the late fee. It'll just be included automatically. So I can choose a 1 year or a 2 year membership. And then I just need to answer all of the questions. Now the questions, these are obviously the questions for Antarctica. The questions in the United States are going to be a little bit different than the questions in Canada or in Australia or in New Zealand or in Zimbabwe. But you can just go through. Anything with a asterisk is mandatory. Anything without an asterisk is optional. There's an opportunity here where a member can check and update their details as well, so they can take a look here and make sure all their information is correct. Now you'll notice that a bunch of these have a big red pound sign next to them. If they make changes to any of these very important fields, the membership committee, the leadership team, the director consultant, the regional office, they'll all be notified saying, hey, red flag, they tried to make a change to their category, which is going to require extra approval. If they don't make any changes, they can proceed directly to payment. They check off the box that says they understand all of the BNI general policies and principles. They can, of course, click this hyperlink and it will give the full details. Otherwise, I just click Proceed to Payment. From here, you just choose your payment method. So pretty straightforward. If you have a credit card, of course, you can pay by credit card if they accept them in your region. If you're paying by check or cash, or really this is going to depend on what payment types are accepted by your region, but just follow the instructions and you can complete the process that way. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. It lets me know that my membership committee is going to be reviewing this decision, and I will be notified once that process is complete. And really, that is all there is to it from a member level. You'll see that my Renew Now button has gone away. I can't renew a second time while I'm still pending. But that's it. I've now gone through the renewal process as Ricky Martin. Let me go ahead and sign out here, and we'll move on to the next part of this process. So this is just a quick review. A member completes the renewal application, he chooses payment, and then there's some notifications that are sent. And I'll go over the notifications right at the end of this webinar today. A whole list of them for you. So let's switch gears now. So that, again, that is the member part of the process. Pretty straightforward. Anybody that's ever bought anything online usually has a pretty easy time going through that. So let's take a look at the second part of this process. And the second part of this process is, what do the leadership teams do? And most importantly, the people that are most involved in this are the vice president and the membership committee. And a couple of things about these renewals online is that every online application must be approved in BNI Connect. And the opposite of that is true as well. If it wasn't input in online in BNI Connect, meaning a paper application, then you cannot approve it through BNI Connect. But all online renewals must be approved in BNI Connect. They are different types of approvals. You can do a full approval or a partial approval, or if you are not going to be accepting it, you can decline the renewal as well. There's also different times in which you can do the renewals. We have one that's called a pre-approval. And a pre-approval means, and this isn't available in all regions, but a pre-approval is the membership committee can meet ahead of time and say, you know what, this member that's renewing in 2 months or in 3 months or in 1 month, they haven't submitted their application yet, but we are going to be approving them. And they can mark that into the system. It will actually prompt the member to say, hey, you know what, you've been pre-approved. Would you like to go ahead and renew now? And then the member can follow through with the renewal process. And then we have post-approvals. Post-approvals are exactly the opposite of that. A member submits a renewal, then the membership committee, the leadership team, goes in and makes the approval. Now, from a regional standpoint, for you executive directors and regional admins that are on the call with us today, you are not able to reconcile or finalize that transaction until a payment type has been registered and until that renewal has been approved by the chapter. So let's take a look at this. How do we do a pre-approval? There's 2 different ways. The membership committee and the vice president and the director consultant, you'll all get an email in, usually it's 90 days before members of the chapter are due. So you get a list saying, okay, on 90 days from now, on February 1st, for example, John and Joe and Mary and Bob, they're all due for renewal. Would you like to start the pre-approval process, in which it gives you a link? You can click over and it will start the renewal process. The second way to do it is through BNI Connect. So if you don't get that email, or you lose that email, or you'd just like to do some pre-approvals, that gets done through the membership dues report in BNI Connect. Okay, so we'll show you that in just a second. The second way is the post-approval, and that happens after a member has submitted their application. So a member can go in, submit their application, and an email goes out to the membership committee and the leadership team saying, hey, congratulations, Johnny has submitted their renewal application. Please go ahead and approve this now. And it sends you a link to go to the post-approval screen. The second way is through the pending application screen. So we're going to take a look at both of those methods right now. All right, so for this one, I'm going to have to log in as somebody with a little bit more authority. So in this case, let's log in as the vice president. My vice president up there in the Burr chapter is Alf. So let's log in as Alf. So Alfred E. Newman, the vice president of the Burr chapter in Antarctica, he's going to need to go in and do some approvals. So the first thing he wants to do is he wants to do some pre-approvals. He wants to review some members that are coming up for renewal but haven't yet submitted their renewal applications. So for that, as I mentioned, we have to go to the membership dues report. And the membership dues report is located under reports. So if I go to reports, the third report down on the left-hand side here is the membership dues report. I'm just going to click that and click go. And of course, this is going to give me a list of everybody in my chapter and when they're due. It's going to sort them by due date right now. So you can see my compensated leadership team. They're going to be showing up at the top of the list because they're not going to be due until they come out of office. And then going down the list, it'll show me the people that are due in order. And I have some people due in February and March and May and July, going all the way out in time. So the ones that are due, especially the ones that are highlighted, are ones that should be in the process of this renewal period because this person is due in the next 2 months. So I can go ahead for Robert here and click the member renewal, and this is the pre-approval screen. What this does is it allows me to review Robert here. We can review his details, and it's going to give me his last 6 months of performance. I can see in the last 6 months he's only been present 5 times, but they do have a problem down there in the Burr chapter. I can also review his referrals and look at the training details as well. The training details brings me to Robert's record. I can see that he doesn't have any training records, but I can also go through and look at the rest of his profile as well. I can see if he's actually filled out his profile, if he's participating in any of this. I can see his connections. I can see his testimonials, all of those types of things, and make a decision as to whether he's participating in the chapter. Now at this point, I, as the vice president, what we're doing is we're registering the decision of the membership committee, and that's important. It is not a voting process in BNI Connect. When the membership committee logs into this, all they see is the top half of this screen. So they're only going to see this portion of it up here at the top. They don't see the buttons in order to register the decision. Only the vice president is going to see those decision tools. So the first thing they have to do is they have to say, I certify that I have had a review with this person. We've had the proper discussions, and I'm going to be rendering this decision. We can also choose if it's conditional or whether control letters have been sent. We can click the pre-approve button at this point. And now Robert Lovejoy will be sent an email saying, hey, Robert, congratulations, your membership committee has pre-approved you. Go ahead and start the renewal process. They click that and they do the process that we just showed a few minutes ago of submitting a renewal in BNI Connect. And essentially, that's all there is to it. Now, you can pre-approve somebody even if I wanted to. Roger Dodger here isn't due until 2020, but I could pre-approve him. It will give me a warning, however, saying, hey, by the way, this member's renewal is outside the normal time period. Are you really, really sure you want to go ahead and do this pre-approval? I'm going to go ahead and back out of that at this point. You'll notice that once they have submitted their renewal, they will no longer have that option there. All right, so that's the pre-approval process. Now let's say you don't pre-approve somebody and they've already gone in and done their renewal. So again, you can click on the link within the email reminder, or we can go to the pending applications screen. Now that one's located under operations. All right, so if we go to operations, under manage memberships, we go to view pending applications, and this is going to show us all of the applications that are pending. So the ones that have been entered that might have been on paper, these are all the unreconciled transactions that the office hasn't finalized yet. So here we have this one from Ricky Martin. I can see it was a renewal. I can see when they input it, the value, it was submitted. And here I have a little arrow that says approve. If I click that little arrow, now I can it's exactly the same screen that we had before. The only difference is that I have a PDF now. I can click on this PDF button. I can open or save. If I'd like to save this to my chapter records, put it in the chapter box to have it in a folder, you can do that as well. But this will give us a PDF of the renewal application. I can review all of the questions. Once again, I can go in and review their details, check the box, and I can approve it or decline it. One note about declining. When you decline a member's renewal, the member does not get kicked out of the chapter. I want to repeat that. The member stays active in the chapter. They also are not notified. A notification of a decline has to be done through the membership committee process of letting the member know. It is not done electronically. So what this does is if I do decline it, it just registers it in BNI Connect. It registers that decision. It sends an email to the membership committee and to the leadership team and to the regional office saying the chapter just declined this renewal. So everybody's aware that a decline has been done. But again, the member does have to be notified personally. And even though they're declined, they still have through the rest of their membership unless they're being removed from the chapter as well. Once I've submitted this, because he's already done his payment, this process is complete, and now all that has to happen is the regional office is waiting for that check to say, yes, we received the funding for this, and it is safe to continue. Really, that's all there is to this. One process for the member, and then the second process for the leadership team. So just to review this, again, membership committee reviews the application and the member's performance. The leadership team member then records the approval. And finally, the region just needs to review that and register the receipt of payment. All right, so the second part of this, email notification. So as I mentioned, there's a whole bunch of emails that go out during this to really keep everybody in the loop as to what's happening. I broke this into two different ways, by timing and then by position. So here's from a timing perspective, before the renewal, there's a bunch of emails that goes out. There's the 90-day renewal, the 60-day renewal. There's also if the member opts out, which I didn't really mention before, but in that 60-day renewal reminder, all the way at the bottom in tiny little 1-point print, I'm just kidding, it's in regular font with the rest of it. It says, if you're not interested in renewing at this time, you can let us know by clicking opt out. And if a member clicks the opt out button, an email is sent. Again, once again, it does not kick them out of the chapter. It doesn't end their membership. It just sends a notification letting people know that they're choosing not to renew. Now, the way I look at this is a great opportunity for the leadership team, for the director consultant, for the regional office to go and have a conversation with that member that just opted out. By the way, why are you leaving? A lot of times it's because they're moving or they got a new job or a new addition to the family. But if there is a way that they can be rescued and you want to be rescuing them, then that's a perfect opportunity to have that conversation. As I mentioned, there's also a pre-approval email that goes out. Now, during the online renewal, there's also all of these notifications when the renewal is submitted, when the online payment is received, when the offline payment is sent, and when the renewal is received, and if a member changes details. As I mentioned, there's a huge warning that goes out saying this member is trying to change their category. Please pay attention to this. And then finally, afterwards, an approval email. If the member canceled out of the payment portion but had submitted their application, and then the membership committee or the vice president goes in and approves them, and they still haven't paid yet, the system will remind the member saying, hey, you've now been approved. Please go ahead and finish this up by submitting the payment. There's also a renewal approval announcement and a decline announcement as well. And then in case you're wondering, these are the emails based on position. So depending what position you are, for example, if you are the vice president, you will get the largest number of emails there with the reminders and the opt-out notifications and the decline announcement and the renewal announcement, all of those emails there. And of course, for anybody that happens to be on the webinar today, if you would like a copy of this PowerPoint, please do feel free to send an email to me, support@bniconnect.com, support@bniconnect.com, and I will be absolutely happy to send a copy of this. And that, my friends, is the renewal process in BNI Connect. I would absolutely love to take any and all questions that you might have. Anything about BNI Connect is fair game, and especially about this renewal process. While you're thinking of any last minute questions, just a couple of resources here. Of course, you can always find these recorded webinars and tons of documentation and guides and walkthroughs and things like that at support.bniconnect.com. You'll also find this recording in a couple of days up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNIConnectGlobal. That's also our Facebook address, facebook.com/BNIConnectGlobal, and our Twitter handle is a little bit different. It's just BNI Connect. And of course, you can reach me at support@bniconnect.com. All right, do we have any questions? All right, if there's no questions, what I'm going to do is say thank you guys so much for spending some time with me this afternoon and learning more about the online renewal process in BNI Connect. And again, if you're not sure if it's active in your region, please do give a call to your executive director and they can answer that particular question for you. For everything else, please feel free, support@bniconnect.com. I'd like to wish everybody on this call a very happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you on a webinar in 2016. Happy connecting, everyone.